everyone is currently on a break at the moment from the action-packed races that we have had. Half of it hasn't been as good, half of it, the other half rather, has been absolutely brilliant. So we think it's the perfect time to give you guys our predictions for who we think is going to be on the grid for the 2020 season. Now, if anything has to go after last year's driver market, I think this year is going to be quite good. But personally, I think it's going to be a very quiet one. Not as busy as what it was last year. It was absolutely manic last year, wasn't it, guys, for 2018 into this year. But I can't see it being a really big difference. But before we begin, let us know your predictions as to who you think will be on the grid in 2020 in the comment section below. And just another one as well, I want to say a huge thank you to everyone who has subscribed lately. We're on a good rise at the moment. Nearly at 800 subscribers. Let's see if we can get there before the Belgian Grand Prix. Now that would be absolutely brilliant if you could do that. So if you're new around here, then please subscribe as well. And any opinions on our predictions, then let us know in the comment section below. We love reading your comments. We really, really do. So how this format is going to work is basically we're just going to go 2 by 2 into the grid of the teams and just give our predictions as to who we think will be there next seasons. But obviously there's only one team currently that have been signed up for next season who have confirmed both their drivers, and that's of course the Mclaren team. They've both confirmed Lando Norris and Carlos Sainz will be there for the 2020 season. So of course there's absolutely no point in trying to predict those drivers because they're already confirmed. Now at time of record, no one else has been officially confirmed, so if something has came out and we've missed it, then that is obviously why, because we haven't seen it. In case you're probably thinking, well, hang on a minute, you predicted him but he's going there. Well, we're sorry, we haven't seen it, but no, there's nothing we can do about it. So my prediction then for the first two teams we're going to predict, which will be Williams and Alfa Romeo, I've gone with George Russell for Williams, and he'll be partnered with Nicholas Latifi. And for Alfa Romeo, I've gone with Kimi Räikkönen, and I think he'll be also teammates with Antonio Giovinazzi.
Yeah, no change for me. I've gone with the same as Jordan. George Russell and Nicholas Latifi at Williams, obviously the Formula 2 drive from Dams coming in to the British team, and the same lineup for Alfa Romeo, which is Kimi Räikkönen and Antonio Giovinazzi.
Yeah, so I think me and Lyle both agree on, actually both agree on something for once as well. So my kind of thought on the whole Williams thing. Now, I've said for a long, long time that Nicholas Latifi is coming into Formula 1 with Williams, and I've said this for a while now. Now, I know Raul Kubica's in there at the moment, but there's all kind of talks whether he's going to be there next season, whether he's got the patience to be within the team as well. There's every single chance he could be, and I'm not saying Raul Kubica should be demoted because he's doing bad. In fact, well, he's got Williams' only point this season, so he's doing an alright job. I'm not too sure whether he will be there. I don't think he'll be sacked. I think he will leave on his own terms because, being at the back of the grid, it's not where he wanted to be. And I think that, I feel a bit sorry for Kubica because he's worked so hard to get back into Formula 1 and he's always stuck at the back of the grid. And I'm just like, in a way, it feels like, he's wasted his time, but in a way, he's still driving Formula 1. He's one of the 20. He's one of 20 drivers to be in a Formula 1 seat, so he is pretty lucky in a way. It doesn't matter who you're with, he's still in Formula 1 either way. But I do believe Nicholas Latifi will be there alongside George Russell. No reason to replace George Russell. He's been linked with the Williams seat. He won't be there. I can guarantee he won't be there. Limited options elsewhere. He is a good driver. He hasn't really proved himself because of the car. Hopefully next season Williams will be a bit better, and therefore he can prove himself to all of us. And pretty much similar with Alfa Romeo, I don't see any reason why they should replace any driver. I do know that Kimi Räikkönen's got another contract for 2020. He signed a 2-year deal when he signed it for the 2019 season. But I do think that 2020 will be his last year. It has to be his last year. Surely, guys. I mean, how long can Kimi be going on for? I mean, wow. I mein, if he does stay into next season, I think he will overtake Rubens Barrichello for the most Grand Prix appearances, which would be pretty cool. If well deserved, in my opinion. Everyone does like Kimi Räikkönen, so I think he'll definitely be there for next season. But as I said, last season more than likely will be his last year. Giovinazzi's been a bit of a tricky one, hasn't it? He's had a bit of a rocky start to his Formula 1 career. Räikkönen has been outclassing him throughout the majority of the season. He's picked up the pace in the last couple of races, but I was a bit. If we did these predictions probably about 4 or 5 races ago, I would have said Giovinazzi to be demoted or even replaced. But for me, Giovinazzi, I think he'll be there for another season. However, if he keeps up this kind of a similar kind of form into next season, then I'm pretty sure he will be replaced because there's a certain driver with the surname of Schumacher who will probably be in that team for 2021. So that's my thoughts on those two. Lyle, you have the same predictions as me. I'm pretty sure you kind of agree with me on that one.
Yeah, exactly. Firstly, Jordan Russell. Firstly, Jordan, you actually said Williams seat. You meant Mercedes seat. So yes, of course, he is linked with the Mercedes seat. That's right. Given time in the Williams team, obviously they are using a Mercedes engine. Same thing with Nicholas Latifi. He obviously was with the Formula 2 teams, Dams, which are a Mercedes junior team. Linked with he drove for Force India. He was their reserve driver in 2018. So when they switched to Racing Point, he did a few races with them, but then obviously changed with Williams. Does test in the simulator, and then he did his debut in FP1 at the Canadian Grand Prix, his home event, back a few races ago. Good, strong driver in Formula 2. I do think he'll be there. I think at first when you think he could partner Lance Stroll, and obviously he's a good friend with Lawrence Stroll, and obviously getting in with the Racing Point crowd, I mean, that would be great. You know, two Canadians at a sub-Canadian team, if you want to call it that. But I do think Williams, as I say, Mercedes team as well, will be good for him. Partnering George Russell, really good from him. Yes, just a strong driver. Again, just quickly on Robert Kubica, a little bit unfortunate for him, even though back in the predictions that we made last time, I did say Kubica at Renault and how great it would be to have him back in Formula 1. As I say, he has got 1 point, so he is doing okay performance. He's not doing as bad as we thought. He's not doing good either. But yeah, a bit of unfortunate for him. But I think the one season in his comeback has been pretty good for him. I think at the end of the season, if he does walk, and obviously Nicholas takes a seat, I think he'll still think I've had a good, second time back in Formula 1. And then obviously, Alfa Romeo, Kimi Räikkönen, one of my favourite drivers to watch this season. I'm very, very impressed by him. Of course, he's got loads more left in the tank. Giovinazzi as well, from the guy who me and Jordan said got the least amount of waves at Silverstone. He's doing a good job in that car. And yes, I can't think of anything else but for him to return. Kimi is, as I said, Jordan said, he's contract for next year. I don't think Giovinazzi is, but of course he should stay at Alfa Romeo. So the next two teams are Racing Point and Toro Rosso. And again, there's going to be no change from me. I'm going to go with Lance Stroll and Sergio Perez at Racing Point. And for Toro Rosso, I'm going to go for Daniel the Torpedo Kvyat and Alexander Albon.
For me, for Racing Point, I'm sticking with the guns as well. I'm going with Lance Stroll and Sergio Perez. But for Toro Rosso, I'm going with Alex Albon and Pierre Gasly.
Wow. Okay, well. So firstly, on to me, Lance Stroll, good driver. It's not all about nepotism, for sure. He has come out and said that a lot, that Lawrence Stroll would for sure drop him as soon as he could if he wasn't a strong driver. Hasn't had the results that he would wanted this year. I think, for Lance Stroll, it's being pushed back this next race, but he is doing an okay performance in the team. Give him some more time. For me, I have a bit of a soft spot for him as well. A few people have said that I do look like him a little bit. I don't know, we'll let you be the judge of that. But yes, I do have a bit of a soft spot for Lance Stroll. Sergio Perez, very strong driver. This could be one of his best seasons in Formula 1. Has more of the backing of the team, even more than any before. And yes, I do think that those two are a good performance in the team. The team as a whole needs to get stronger. Toro Rosso, very, very strong team from this year. Daniel Kvyat, we've talked about him for a lot. Please go and check out our last F1 Debate Show video where we talked about him possibly going to Red Bull. But I'm going to keep him at Toro Rosso for now. Very strong in his finishes. And yes, doing a very good job in his redemption year, if you like, back in Formula 1. And Alexander Albon, again, 10th place in China. Very strong from him. I do think that he has a very good drive at Toro Rosso, and again, will stay in for next year.
Well, yeah, so, I think Lyle pretty much agrees that both sets of teams are doing absolutely brilliant with their current drivers. So, for me, Racing Point, there's nothing really much to talk about on my behalf anyway. Lance Stroll being there, his father, Lawrence Stroll, owns the team. Of course, he's going to be staying there. Sergio Perez, I was humming and hawing at first, but then I did hear that he's in talks to sign a multi-year contract with Racing Point. So therefore, I was just like, well, there's no point in trying to put him elsewhere because I do think he will be there. Oh my God, I nearly said Force India there. Wow, very bad mistake. Racing Point, there's a lot of potential in that team because Lawrence has a lot of money behind it. They brought up upgrades to the past two Grand Prix. They have proven to be, quite good in my opinion. There is a lot more to come. Really is a lot more to come from Racing Point. Watch out for them in the future. Definitely. Toro Rosso, I'm not going to say much on Pierre Gasly because I want to keep that for when it comes to my Red Bull predictions, which you kind of guess anyway. You pretty much know that already. But Alex Albon, there is no need to replace Alex Albon in my opinion. He's doing okay. not good enough for the Red Bull seat, in my opinion. Like, if people are saying, oh, Gasly should be out of that Red Bull seat after one season, but put in Alexander Albon, then no, then you haven't learned your lesson. We've said this a million times, but for me, no reason to replace Albon. He's doing okay. He's an alright driver. I like him. He's young. Still has a lot to deliver, so no reason why he should leave that team. So next team, I think we'll just kind of talk about Haas as a whole for one, because if we're going 2 by 2, then of course we would come into the McLaren bracket, but of course we're not going to be talking about them. Actually, yes, I think we'll have a brief say on. Actually, yes, I've just changed my mind on this one. Yes, we will talk about McLaren just briefly about their decision to retain both their drivers. So only one prediction from me, Haas. I'm going with Kevin Magnussen, and my other driver, I'm going with Nico Hulkenberg on this one. Yeah.
Yes, so my prediction for Haas, I've gone with Danish driver of Kevin Magnussen again. And my second driver, who will be replacing Romain Grosjean, will be Esteban Ocon, the ex-Mercedes driver, the ex-Manor driver from France.
Yeah, I think he's going to be dominating this, or be one of the drivers dominating this prediction video. So, just quickly on McLaren before I talk about Haas, I think it's a very good idea to keep both of these drivers in Carlos Sainz and Lando Norris. I'm a McLaren fan, love these two to bits. Not personally, but obviously, but as drivers, of course.
I do.
I mean, the relationship those two have is really, really good. Even though, in a way, when I'm watching videos with those two, they just remind me of chalk and cheese. They don't look, they don't seem to be like, very much alike. Like the chemistry what Lewis and Jensen had back in the old days of McLaren. Like those two don't seem to have that kind of chemistry, but they just laugh and just like just act good together, if you know what I mean. It's weird to explain, but for me, very good, really good two drivers in my opinion. Carlos Sainz has a really good relationship with his team, with his side of the team. Norris, up and coming driver. He gets good stick, good praise on the track, and of course off the track. He's involved with F1 esports. He tweets to as many people as he can. He's a proper modern day F1 driver in my opinion. He's always on social media. He's the kind. He's the kind of person that you want to meet as a Formula 1 driver. In terms of drivers, our chance it'll be Lewis Hamilton, Verstappen, Vettel, but Norris should definitely be up there for drivers you want to meet. So my predictions for Haas, Romain Grosjean for me has been really poor this season. So has K-Mag in a way, but for me Grosjean has a bit poor. I know he has a lot of mechanical problems this season, but last season he didn't really do as well. In 2017 he did okay. 2018 maybe not. 2019, those two are just like at breaking point in my opinion. I think this could be one of the reasons why Grosjean would leave. I don't think he'll be sacked. I think Grosjean will leave on his own terms. He's been at the team since day one, so he's quite loyal to the team. But I think he would want a new challenge more than anything. I think he'd be like, well, in a way, it feels like they're building the team around K-Mag, or I just don't feel right in the team anymore. My head's all over the place. He might be considering going off to elsewhere, which I think he will, in my opinion. For him to replace, for Hulkenberg to come into the team, replacing him, do I genuinely believe that will happen? I'm 100% confident that will happen? No. I'm only saying this because there is a rumour circulating that he could be going to Haas to replace Grosjean for next season. It's very unlikely, but it's not impossible. It's not ridiculous. It's not like me saying he's going to Ferrari or he's going to Mercedes. It's a bit like, it's one to think about, and there's something different as well just to throw in there because everyone seems to be making the same kind of predictions. So I just thought I would add in a little bit of spice there. K-Mag, he's on his last legs in my opinion. Like he's been doing okay this season, but again, he hasn't really been delivering the results that Haas want. Again, it's more down to the car, but at the same time, K-Mag needs to up his game. He has got a contract for next season, but that for me could be make or break in his career. So that's my thoughts on Haas and McLaren. Lyle, anything to add on what I just said? And of course, what's your thoughts on McLaren and Haas?
Yeah, so McLaren are signed. They were the first team to do that. The thing that I just wanted to say quickly on McLaren, Jordan, is Carlos Sainz. We talked about him in the last episode, obviously about the Red Bull stuff like that. And I just wanted to say that maybe McLaren have signed them fast for two reasons. One, because as you've just said, they got on really, really well. They are a good team. They are a good, they get on, the bond's really good, and obviously they're great drivers. But also because Carlos Sainz could be looked at by other teams. For example, Renault, Toro Rosso, going back to Toro Rosso, possibly Red Bull. So I just think with possibly not Lando Norris because he's a bit too young. And obviously he is doing well at McLaren, but I think possibly Carlos Sainz could have been offered other contracts. Maybe other people were knocking at the door, but Zach Brown wanted to say, no, I'm going to shut that door and sign Carlos really fast. And obviously that's what they've done. I do think it's a great partnership, and I'm very looking forward to what they can do next year. So Haas is my big one. My second change so far. Kevin Magnussen, again, doing a good job in that Haas. Gunter Steiner, the team principal, is not happy with either of those drivers. Last year, they had a really big drop in what they could actually do. They were battling Renault, which I think Renault came out victorious with a 4th place, I want to say. Romain Grosjean, been at the team since day dot, since 2016, hasn't been performing since really that year. Since he had Esteban Gutierrez as a teammate, who he could kind of beat and show up. And obviously when Kevin Magnussen came into the team, he couldn't do that. You know, Kevin, he's been at McLaren, didn't have a great season at McLaren, but he is a strong driver. Obviously, he has to come from somewhere, and he is good, quite consistent. And as Roman's been slipping down the order, Kevin's been increasing. I also do think that Kevin has more kind of input at the team. So Kevin Magnussen is very much safe. Romain Grosjean, I do think that his time has sailed with Haas. Is he going to stay in Formula 1? Well, obviously that's not for me to say. Possibly it could be with the other 4 teams that I haven't mentioned yet, but you'll have to keep listening to find out that. But I don't think his time at Haas is any more. He does keep improving, and Roman, he is a good driver. Obviously, I have liked him for quite a few years, but I do think his time is up. And he will be replaced by Esteban Ocon. And the reason why Esteban will be going there is, it's a different team than he was before. Obviously, he's been with Manor, he's been with Racing Point, he's been with Mercedes, which are all Mercedes engines. This is a Ferrari engine. The only reason that he's going to Haas is because he's a free agent. Because Mercedes don't, because there's no space for Mercedes anymore. Because there's other teams knocking at the door. Williams have been after him. I think Racing Point were actually after him as well, possibly for becoming a 3rd place driver. Williams obviously wanted him to replace one of their 2 existing drivers on this year's grid. And as I say, Ocon, I do think that he deserves to be in Formula 1. Even Toto Wolff said, even if it's not Mercedes, it needs to be in Formula 1. So obviously you've got the big guy from Austria telling you that you need to be in Formula 1. You can't take that and run. You've got to be in Formula 1. And I do think that he will have a good home at Haas. I can just see him really, really mixing in with there. Obviously, he did a good job at Manor, 26 consecutive finishes. He did a good job at Racing Point as well, even though he had quite a few collisions with Perez and obviously the collision with Max Verstappen at the end, which possibly might have hindered his confidence and or his reputation in Formula 1, but obviously that's not for me to say right now. But I do think he will have a good performance. So I do think that'll be a good partnership. Kevin Magnussen, quite a witty guy. Esteban Ocon, quite baby-faced and has a good personality, but is quick to fire back. So I do think that they can have a great partnership. And yeah, I've got if this is a partnership for Haas next year, John, I can say this is definitely going to be one of my teams to watch, because I'm a fan of Ocon. I am growing to like Magnussen. Obviously, I've been a big fan of Haas since he came into Formula 1. So couldn't be my team to watch and my 2 drivers to watch next season if this actually does happen. So the next team, obviously, we are skipping over McLaren as we've just talked about them for a bit. We are going on to the kind of they're trying to break into podium positions of Renault and Red Bull. Obviously, Renault are definitely going for the podium spots, and I'm going to kick off with, again, no change to any of these 4 driver positions. Renault, I'm going to go for Mr. Nearly Man of Nico Hulkenberg, and Renault, I'm going to say with Daniel Ricciardo, obviously the man who came from Red Bull last year. And for Red Bull, I'm going to say Max Verstappen, of course, the driver who's contracted till... I'll start again. So he will sign a new contract with Red Bull. He's contracted till 2020. Really ferocious. Obviously joined the Orange Army, and the man who is definitely, after we saw in Hungary, going for the chance to get the World Championship next year. And of course his teammate, who I'm going to say no change, and I'm going to stay with Pierre Gasly.
Good one. For me, Renault, Daniel Ricciardo, obvious. And his teammate will be Esteban Ocon. And for Red Bull, for me, Max Verstappen and Daniel Kvyat.
As I've just said there, about Esteban Ocon, a lot of teams want them, especially Renault, and obviously that's what Jordan has just said. But on to my predictions, and obviously not his. Nico Hulkenberg, very strong with the team. He's been in Formula 1 for 10 years now. 10 years since 2020. He was in Formula 1 with Williams in 2010, and he's only got 1 pole position to his name. I mean, at some point you've got to kind of scratch your head and think, what is Nico Hulkenberg doing in Formula 1 right now, when there's people who, some people have achieved so much and they haven't got spots. It's crazy. But he's still a good driver. He is consistent. Well, I mean, to the point. I think Nico Hulkenberg, we can definitely implement that. If he is in Formula 1 next year with Renault, this is his last season. It has to be. This is his 11th season in Formula 1. He's been in Formula 1 for a decade now. And as I say, take out Le Mans, because obviously that's not a Formula 1 achievement. In Formula 1, he only has one pole position to his name, which was done all the way back in his rookie season in 2010. He's a good driver, he's a good face to have, but that's not a good stat to keep. So I do think that if Renault give him another chance, this is definitely his last chance. And of course, Daniel Ricciardo. This season so far has been average for the Honey Badger. I mean, Red Bull could have probably served him better. We were confused by the move. I think some point you have to kind of think, why did he do it? And obviously with Red Bull, right, to not really fight for him that much, especially obviously how it's going with Pierre Gasly. But obviously he was very happy in his move. He definitely wanted to go there, and at the moment he is still happy. I do think that next year it won't be such a turning point, but he has found a team that he's very, very happy with. I don't think Ricciardo would really even look to change in many teams in the future. I think Renault is going to be his home. I can even say now that Ricciardo might even retire with Renault, but obviously not yet, maybe in a few years' time. But I don't think he's going to be very manic in the silly season. So Ricciardo kind of found a home at Renault, and yes, next year might not be a turning point for him, but I do think that he will be very, very happy. Red Bull, Verstappen, of course, going for the World Championship. Very strong this year, again, so far. Obviously, back-to-back wins at the Hockenheimring and the Hungaroring. Very, very strong. Actually, do you want to hear a funny stat? He won at the Österreich-Ring, the Hockenheimring, and the Hungaroring. He is the king of the rings. So we just need another ring. We need the Zandvoort ring, or the Spa-Francorchamps ring, and Max will win. No, but Max Verstappen, of course, very, very strong driver. Not much to say about him. Of course, he was going to stay. He is only contracted till obviously next year, 2020. So then finally we can start talking about is he going to go to Mercedes? But of course, nothing yet. Nothing now. He's going to stay with Red Bull. The driver, the second place driver, Pierre Gasly, he has been under a lot of scrutiny basically since the season even started. We even made an episode on it the other day, but I'm very confident that he will pull better positions out of the bag, but also Red Bull do need him. Possibly Pierre's only saving grace this year is because Red Bull don't have anyone else in their junior program. They did have, I think it was Dan Tickton, but obviously he's been ejected. And then apart from that, they haven't actually got anybody waiting in the wings. Only the young guys that are still in Formula Renault 3.5 and things like that. So that could be Pierre Gasly's saving grace. But again, next year he will basically be worrying about his seat, and his seat it'll always be under speculation because he's not at the level of Verstappen. But obviously I'm very confident Pierre Gasly will stay with Max at Red Bull. So Jordan, what do you think about Renault, the podium chasers, and obviously Red Bull, the team that's in third, going for second, and obviously with Verstappen going for the World Championship? Who do you think will take over those seats?
Well, I mean, for me, Renault, it's been a very disappointing season so far. Well, a disappointing first half of the season. Like I keep saying, Renault was supposed to be that team to be knocking on the door for that top three, to be getting podiums and everything, to get to be challenging for race wins, and trying to go for a race win at races like Hockenheim at Germany. How chaotic it was. Hulkenberg was in the podium position. We were thinking, he can't, can he? And he didn't, unfortunately. I mean, all right, it was raining, fair enough, but again, as like Lyle said, I totally agree. Yeah, one pole position, and that's all he has in Formula One. It is a bit embarrassing. I mean, he hasn't been, like I said before, when we were talking about him going to Red Bull possibly, he's never really had or been in a car that's really been that competitive. So you could give him a bit of slack for that. But at the same time, it's like I say, 10 years in Formula One in one pole position. It's not really good, is it? But no one really seems to be talking about him. I think it could be make or break. But as like I say, I haven't got him there at Renault at all. I've got him at Haas because I think he might want to change. I think Haas might bring him a new fresh of light in his Formula 1 career. Who knows? Haas could be up the grid next season. He might be losing patience with Renault. I don't know. As like I said, it's really unlikely that will actually happen. Daniel Ricciardo, I've got down Daniel Ricciardo. Believe yes, he'll definitely stay without a shadow of a doubt. Ocon, he was in talks with that seat because for this season rather, because no one really expected him to go. Ricciardo to go to Red Bull to Renault, and Renault kind of casted Ocon aside to have the chance to have Ricciardo in your car. And if I had a choice, I would have chosen Ricciardo as well, definitely. Ocon is still a good driver. He's got a lot to prove in Formula 1. Tad overrated, possibly. But, he's linked with that Mercedes seat. I can't see him getting it, in my opinion. I really can't see him getting it. Toto Wolff has said before that for Ocon to excel in Formula 1, to go further in Formula 1, if he has to, we'll obviously release him from his contract and his ties with Mercedes to go off and partner with another team. And I think he will do that with Renault. It's more realistic for me to think that Ocon will go to Haas. I think that's a better option. But for Renault, I don't think, again, like the Hulkenberg situation when I said with Haas, it's a one to think about. It's a possibility. It's not ridiculous, but it's not impossible at the same time. For Red Bull, Max Verstappen definitely will be there without a shadow of a doubt. Next season will be there. But I think 2020 is going to be a key year, because if Red Bull are still playing, second fiddle or whatever, and they're not challenging for continuous race wins, race in, race out, then Verstappen will no doubt be looking at one seat in particular, and that's the Mercedes seat. Because Hamilton, will he retire after 2020? Bottas, will he be there after 2020? Will he be there 2020 at all? Who knows? He will have his eye on that seat, definitely. He had past ties with Mercedes, so why not go back there? So I think 2020 is going to be a big year for Red Bull and Verstappen, because if Red Bull do deliver him a world title, or challenge for a world title, then more than likely he'll stay. Well, he might stay, I don't know. But if he doesn't, then I definitely think he will be looking for other options. For me, Max Verstappen definitely will be doing that. Daniel Kvyat. Now, I don't want this to happen, but I do think it will happen, that Kvyat will go back to Red Bull to replace Pierre Gasly. Now, Gasly has had a very, very poor season. Everybody knows that. And there's only one driver that could replace him if Red Bull want to stick to their guns and employ people from their program, is Daniel Kvyat. Alex Albon, no way. I'm sorry. No, that shouldn't happen, because he's going to get the same stick as Gasly does. And then he might have a career like what Daniel Kvyat had. One season at Toro Rosso, comes into Red Bull, gets kicked out within a season and a half. So, I mean, unlucky circumstances, but nevertheless, Daniel Kvyat in a way was unlucky to lose his seat. He's been performing quite well at Toro Rosso. He's been doing okay. Nothing spectacular, of course not, but a podium in Germany, very solid. People call it lucky. I say, yeah, he was lucky to get the podium, but at the same time, it was quite skillful to keep it out of the barriers at all times. So, he's got skill there in the wet, so he did okay. Yes, he got lucky to get the podium, but he still did well to keep it out of the barriers. I think they will give him another chance at Red Bull. I know people are a bit dubious about that one, but I think Red Bull will have another shot at him. How he will do only depends, how he prepares for the season, how well he can deal with the pressure, how good the car's going to be next season. It's all a matter of.
Can I just say quickly?
Yeah.
I've said Pierre Gasly's going to be at Red Bull, but for a fact that I would love Kvyat to be in this position, because I was a really big fan of him in 2016. And again, I've said it once, I've said it a billion times. Max winning in Spain was incredible, but before that, Max did not deserve the Red Bull seat, and Kvyat getting kicked out was quite harsh. And I'm not going to go into training place again because it makes me want to cry. But basically, that I would love Kvyat to get another chance at Red Bull. So to be honest, Jordan, out of all the predictions that we've said today, I would love yours to be right. I really would, over mine. I don't know if Kvyat will be there in 2020, but I would love yours to be right for sure, because for him to get another chance alongside the teammate that he was replaced by. For example, you were just talking about the podium there. They were like hugging and being like all pally and that. And I'm hoping that was to do with like the training place, just kind of I know it's like 3 years old now, but I'm hoping that it was a bit like I understand, this guy's great, this guy's also
Let's
great.
hug it out.
But for sure, I would love yours to be correct. Unfortunately, I just don't think Kvyat will be there at the moment.
Yeah, like I'm not 100% sure this will. I don't want it to happen, but I think it will happen. I'm not 100% sure it will, but for me, there's more of a chance of Kvyat being there than Gasly being there at this current time, because who knows, Gasly could come back at the second half of the season and absolutely, he won't whitewash Verstappen, but he could be on par with Verstappen. He could get a couple of podiums, and therefore Red Bull will definitely keep him. I know they will. We're recording this after Hungary, before Belgium in the summer break. He might come back refreshed away from Formula 1, and he might do a decent job. Who knows? It's only ifs and buts with this one. That's why I love doing prediction videos, because it's just so unknown. And then when you look back at it, you go, why did I even say that? In my opinion. So yes, that was our Red Bull and Renault prediction. So to cap it off, our last two teams is of course Ferrari and Mercedes. And I think for me, Ferrari, the drivers that they will have next season will be Sebastian Vettel and Charles Leclerc. And for me, Mercedes, Lewis Hamilton, Valtteri, Bottas.
Exactly the same for me as well. I do think for Ferrari, Seb will retain his position as team leader. Charles Leclerc will obviously return to Ferrari. Really great performance by him. He is basically, I think he will have a very long and prosperous career at the Scuderia. Mercedes, Lewis Hamilton of course will stay, but Valtteri Bottas, I was hoping that Jordan would say something different, because obviously there's been a lot of talks if Bottas is going to be replaced or not, but for sure I'm seeing sense. So is he for once, and that is to keep Valtteri Bottas.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing much to say on these two, but on these two predictions. But I know that Vettel's future's been speculated, Bottas has been speculated, so I'm going to kind of like tie my kind of opinion, like my thought in between these two. For me, Leclerc definitely will be there next season without a shadow of a doubt. So let's cast him to a side. Vettel definitely, chance I will be there. After 2020, I don't know. I really, really don't know. It all depends how Ferrari do next season. Bottas, why are people thinking Bottas is going to leave Mercedes? Somebody explain to me why Bottas deserves to leave, to be sacked, to be replaced by Ocon. I honestly, I'm not a Bottas fan in any way. He's not a driver that excites me. He's not a driver I like. Oh, how's Bottas going to do it on Sunday? How is he going to do this week? I'm just like, Bottas, yeah, good driver. So what? I don't understand why people are thinking he's going to leave. He's had, at time of recording, before this, as I said, we're recording this halfway through the season. He's had 2 wins and 4 pole positions. Last season, he had 2 pole positions. That was it. He finished 5th. Last season, he finished 5th. This season, he's currently 2nd place. Second place. Verstappen's currently on it, breathing down his neck. But still, though, 3rd place is still an improvement from last season. Yeah. And he's still getting the points for Mercedes, which is what they want him to do. So for me, he's doing a really good job. If he was losing points
Hamilton,
week in, week out.
He got on the board before Hamilton, obviously winning Australia.
Australia, exactly. He beat them. And then we were all like, here's Bottas 2.0 and everything like that. And then he won again in Baku. So solid job from Bottas so far this season. And then he got that string of 3 pole positions in a row at the early part of the season. Again, that's pretty impressive. I know he's been a bit like, not so good the past few weeks or the past few races, but I think he's put a lot of pressure on himself because he knows he's under review. And I'm like, what? Like, how? It could have been official. It could have been confirmed that he is staying or he's not staying. And if he's not staying, we're definitely doing a video about that. If it's been confirmed he's not staying, because for me he deserves that seat. He absolutely deserves that seat without a shadow of a doubt. Hamilton, of course, is going to be there. Where else would he go? Why would he leave? Of course, he's going to come into 2020, a 6-time world champion. And don't give me this Verstappen's in the title fight. He's not. He really, really is. I can guarantee he won't be. If people are writing off Bottas. I'm like, hang on a minute. If you're writing Bottas off but keeping Verstappen, I know why you're saying Verstappen, because he's hot topic at the moment.
John,
he won't. He will not be world champion this season. I can guarantee it. And if he wins the world championship, I'll eat my shoe. I don't know how, but I'll eat my shoe.
Live on the video, and I'll make sure he does as well.
Yes, exactly. So yes, that's my thoughts on them two. Lyle, fire away, buddy. What's your thoughts on those two?
Yeah, to be honest, no change to you, Jordan. Sebastian Vettel, exactly. Obviously, I'm going to say his last season next year. I'm not giving my... Actually, no, I didn't say that. I'm not going to give my predictions away, but I always have a theory on Sebastian Vettel that you don't know yet, but you'll have to wait this time next year until we do our 2021 predictions. I have a theory on Seb. You can just sit on that, but I'm not going to tell anyone. I'll be amazed if
I know it. I know.
Jordan knows it. Don't tell anybody. Keep it hush. So yes, Sebastian Vettel. I've got a theory, but I'm not going to let anyone know. Leclerc, of course, I think he's hot property, as John has said that word, about Verstappen, but I think Leclerc is for Ferrari. They're going to absolutely love this guy. I think he's got Ferrari written on, basically, he can stay there for the next 20 years. And then, yes, going on to Mercedes, Lewis Hamilton, of course, he will stay there, very, very happy. He has got about another, I think it was 5 years, he said, left. Earlier this year, so
yes, he did. That's true.
That's 2024,
or
2025 even. So we'll see. But Lewis Hamilton, of course, is not going to go anywhere. He's 35, I think it is, and of course, yeah, very happy, and he's just winning is amazing. Max Verstappen actually said on Twitter that even if winning looks boring, he doesn't care. Winning is winning, and that's exactly what
That's
Lewis
true.
Hamilton's doing. But
it's true.
Valtteri Bottas, I just wanted to say quickly on what Jordan was saying. The reason why I think that people are saying that Valtteri Bottas isn't good enough, or that they should be replaced on a top team, is that there are two reasons. One, because they're looking at the other guy and comparing them. For example, they're looking at Hamilton and they're comparing Bottas to Hamilton, and they're comparing Gasly to Verstappen. Well, first, stop doing that. Look at them as as like their individual person. And secondly, if they were replaced, so for example, if Ocon replaced Bottas, can you tell me, I know we're only talking in hindsight, but can you tell me that Ocon is going to do a better job than Bottas? We don't know. Probably not. He might do better, but we don't know at the moment. But the thing that we do know is that Valtteri Bottas is here. He's got 3 wins. As Jordan said, he was on the board before Lewis. He is strong. He is performing. And of course, yes, if James didn't say to Valtteri, okay, retire, get out of Mercedes after the end of 2018, then it isn't going to happen this year. So obviously, those two are very much safe. I've only had 2 changes in my predictions. Again, like we just said at the start of the episode, I don't think there is actually going to be that much change in our predictions.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm very happy with mine. So obviously Latifi to Mercedes, Latifi to Williams, Ocon to Haas, and then everything else, normal service is resumed. So that's my grid for 2020, Jordan. Final thoughts?
Yes. Yeah, I think, pretty much the same as you. And I said this at the start of the episode, that I think there isn't going to be that much of a change. Not as much as last season, without a shadow of a doubt. 2021, that's going to be a very juicy and spicy prediction, because we've got the likes of Hamilton and Vettel involved in the driver market, the merry-go-round, if you like, because their contracts run out next season. So I'm very, very excited for when we do our 2021 predictions. So, but obviously you have to catch us for that. Yeah, pretty much similar predictions to Lyle, of course, but I've got Ocon at Renault, Hulkenberg to Haas, and Danny Kvyat to Red Bull. And of course you can see our predictions on the right-hand side of the screen. Well, your left-hand side of the screen, rather, our right-hand side on screen facing you guys. But of course, if you agree with what we said, then let us know your opinions in the comment section below. Anything that you would change on our predictions, like I say, get in contact with us. We love hearing your thoughts. And of course, always leave your 2020 driver predictions in the comment section below. But that is where we can wrap up our predictions video. Thank you very much for watching as well. It's been a very fun, enjoyable video. As like I say, I do love making prediction videos. I'm pretty sure Lyle does as well. And I hope you guys have enjoyed what we have delivered for you today. And of course, we've got no previews or reviews coming up because Formula 1 is on a hiatus, if you like, for 3 weeks. So we're going to just go back and just, I don't know, do nothing, I suppose. Just probably stay out that window until it's time to record next. So we're getting a bit dusty. So, you know, we need to just go in the cupboard for a couple of weeks and then come back for when we do this. Well, like I said at the start of the video, thank you very much for everyone who has subscribed. Welcome our brand new subscribers as well. Nearly at 800, so let's see if we can hit that before the Belgian Grand Prix. Let's make that happen, guys. And once again, thank you very much as well. If you have liked us, then please drop us a like on the video, subscribe if you're new around here, and until next time, we'll see you later.
See you later, guys. Have a great summer break.